Why has the Eastern Conference been so weak this year? Are the Pistons really true contenders? Can a fully healthy Bucks team make a run in the second half of the season? Can Jaylen Brown really prove to lead this Celtics team back to the finals? Stay tuned for my breakdown on the Eastern Conference through the first half of the season and why the East has been so weak this season. Yo, what's going on, NBA fans? It's me, Rouse, bringing you part 2 to my first video that I dropped. Today, we're going to be breaking down the Eastern Conference through the first half of the season and see where everyone stands and how all the teams are looking a little post the trade deadline, just like we did for the West. Now, the Eastern Conference has been a little shaky this year, as comparing them to the West, I would say there's a big talent gap between the two teams, and we'll see all the advanced metrics, everything that the Eastern Conference has done throughout the first half of the season. So stay tuned for all my opinions. If you enjoy the video, leave a like down below and subscribe for more. Let's get straight into the video.
Now we've got the Eastern Conference. Detroit Pistons leading at the one spot at the All-Star break. They've been dominating the East. Cade Cunningham playing like an MVP, making his case, and even an All-Star in Jalen Duren this year, who's been a great big man because of how good Cade Cunningham has been on the offensive side of the ball. Duren has also been great defensively. You have a team that is top 3 in defense. The only thing I would say about this team is, where's the offense? You have Cade Cunningham, who's scoring at will. He's doing pretty much everything on the offense, but who is that other guy that can step up and be that offensive guy? A Sir Thompson isn't really that scorer that you're looking for. Ron Holland hasn't really been able to prove himself that he can score the ball. Tobias Harris, he's more on the older side. You brought in Kevin Huerter at the deadline, traded Jaden Ivey because he wasn't really that good of a fit. And then now, a couple days ago, let me see if I can find it. You had this breakout. You had suspensions on your team because of a fight. So now you lose Duren for 2 games after the break. You lose Isaiah Stewart for 7 games after the break. So, we'll see what this team can really do without those guys. If those guys really mean, that it'll affect them in the playoffs in case of injuries or what. But I think you need one more offensive guy. I would have loved you to go get Cam Thomas, but it didn't happen. Ends up going to Milwaukee. But I feel like there's one more guy that needs to be a scorer at will for them. The number 2, a team that's really shocked the league, the Boston Celtics. This was a team that, people thought were going to take that Warriors direction post the championship. They deal with injuries. They lose certain guys. They go on that really big losing streak. But then that means they end up with a top 3 pick. That pick didn't really mean to be much. But in a draft class like this is what they thought the Celtics were going to do. They lose Jason Tatum in the playoffs last year for the whole year. But then you have a guy like Jaylen Brown who has stepped up to be that MVP candidate for you guys, bringing you guys all the way to the 2nd seed. You guys made the trade for Vucevic, for Anthony Simons, which I really do like. I don't really think this team needs more of a scoring type of guy. You've got Derek White. You've got Jaylen Brown. You've got guys who can really go score the ball. Vucevic will be a good big man that they don't really have. They hadn't made us Queta doing most of the work. But Vucevic can now come in, be that big man. 2nd best offense in the league. Couldn't really ask for much from a team like this. Middle of the pack defense, but Joe Mazzulla has done his thing to bring this team to the 2nd seed. Moving on to the 3 seed, the New York Knicks, tied for that 2nd best offensive spot, top half of the league in defense. You bring in guys like Jose Alvarado and Jeremy Shohan, which I really do like for this team. The story of the Knicks the last couple years was, you have the starting lineup, and then what? You have Brunson, you have OG Anunoby, you have Mikal Bridges, you have Karl Anthony Towns, you have Josh Hart, but after that 5, what is there? This year it's been Jordan Clarkson, a little bit of Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson, but after that, you really haven't had much. You have had Landry Shamet a couple games, but that's really it. You bring in a guy like Jose Alvarado, who's proven that he can be a great defensive piece for you guys and an already good defensive team. And then you got a guy like Jeremy Shohan, who you got rid of Yabusele because he wasn't really doing much. You bring in Jeremy Shohan, who's pretty much a way younger, and a better version of what you had in Yabusele. So hopefully you guys get something out of that. Maybe you guys end up catching the Celtics. You know, you guys are only half a game behind them. And we'll see what happens after the deadline with the Knicks. I think they can make a lot of noise in the East come the playoffs. And now one of my favorites post-deadline is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made the trade to go get James Harden, only gave up Darius Garland for it. Donovan Mitchell has been another one of those guys who have made his MVP case this year. You add James Harden to that team, and now the floor spaces. It gives Mitchell room to work. It gives Harden room to work. And now Jared Allen, just like Zubac, Jared Allen is going to take that jump, which he has been in the few games that James Harden has played. James Harden has been so far an amazing addition to this team. Evan Mobley has been hurt, and they're still finding ways to win games. That's their defensive player of the year. When Mobley gets back, this team is going to be scary. You've got Mitchell, you've got Harden, you've got Jalen Tyson, a guy who has proven that he can take a jump. And then now you've got Jared Allen, you've got Evan Mobley, two bigs that have proven that they can hold it down in the paint. This is going to be a scary team. I really, really, really like the James Harden pickup. You do get about 10 years older with the pickup, as James Harden is nearing the end of his career. But if you see what you have in Donovan Mitchell, you see what you have in role players like Sam Merrill, Dean Wade, those type of guys, and then you know what you have in Mobley and Jared Allen coming back, this is a great pickup. Number 5, we've got the Toronto Raptors, who I've really liked this year. This is another one of those deep teams, you know. They're led by 2 All-Stars now, you know, with B.I. being one of the replacements. But Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram have been guys who have been playing like All-Stars all throughout the years. They've got a great core of guys around them, too. Rookie Colin Murray-Boyles has been an amazing addition this year as like one of those smaller big man type of players. He's been great. RJ Barrett's been good. Grady Dick has been good. Emmanuel Quickley has been great at the point guard for them. And Jakob Poeltl has even been a great center for them. They don't make any moves at the deadline, which I kind of wish they did to bring in, like, it's kind of hard with the contracts that they do have, but I kind of wish they brought in one more of those key role player type of guys to add to this team. But, you know, middle of the league in both of the metrics, both offense and defense. I do feel like this is a team that will give one of those upper teams a harder time in the playoffs. They can make, just like I said about the Cavs and the Knicks, that's a deep team that can make noise around the playoffs come time. Number 6, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers. I've really enjoyed watching the 76ers team throughout the year. Tyrese Maxey has been a great addition to this team. My biggest thing for this team, Joel Embiid is back. Joel Embiid has proven that he can get back to that form that he was a couple years ago. He's been very consistent, you know, hasn't really been taking that many games off, but he is dealing with a little bit of an injury now. But Joel Embiid is playing at that high caliber level. And he asked that front office, hey, this is a team that can compete in a weaker Eastern Conference. Let's go make a move. And that move was selling high on one of your youngest pieces, Jared McCain. You know, before that, Paul George goes down with the 25-game suspension, who was a guy that was playing really well for, you know, obviously he's making one of those larger contracts, but he was a guy who's playing very well, but then he goes down with that suspension. You know, you Philly fans have seen great success with now Maxey and now Rookie of the Year candidate VJ Edgecombe, who's been a savior for them. He's really come in and saved, you know, taking some of that like role off of Maxey, being that 1-2 guy. But you've also got good play from Dominic Barlow and Kelly Oubre, 2 good wing guys, forwards who can really help out. But I really like that Maxey's playing at a high level and Joel Embiid has been able to find his form. Now, one of the disappointing teams in the East that really thought was going to make a lot of noise is the Orlando Magic. My key note, they're not playing to potential. They're just not playing to potential right now. Injuries all across the board. You know, Paulo's missed time. A lot of their key role player guys have missed time. And it makes you question, with the way you're standing right now, was the Desmond Bane trade worth it? You gave up 4 first-round picks to go get a guy like Desmond Bane. You know, you've got good production from guys like Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, but, you know, hasn't been able to outweigh the shooting struggles of Paulo Banchero. And just this team hasn't been able to put it together. They haven't been able to find a way to win games. And, hopefully that'll come soon after the break, but I just don't see it. I think all the teams above them right now are better basketball teams that have a higher chance of making it out of the East. The number 8, the Miami Heat. Miami, this is just a team that's been stuck in the play-in. Norman Powell is an all-star this year. Cool. You got that. You've got amazing young talent in guys like Jovic, Larson, Jaime Jaquez, Khalil Ware, and Kasper Yakuchonis. But that's really it. You've kept Bam Adebayo around, and you made the finals run, but you just haven't done much since. You haven't had Tyler Hero for a majority of the year. He dealt with that injury at the beginning of the year, came back, and then went away again. So you lose him, and my thought with this team is, do you just want to continue to be stuck with the 8 seed? Because the way it's looking, you're never going to be more than that unless another move is made, or you just hit the hard reset and build around those young guys that I just talked about. The number 9, Charlotte Hornets, red hot. This is a team that I'm glad to see succeeding because they have such a young, good core. 8 straight wins. They have the big 3. LaMelo Ball, Karl Knuppel, Brandon Miller. LaMelo Ball was talked a lot about in trade deadline talks. Didn't really get moved. But now you have a guy like Karl Knuppel has really proven that he belongs. Shooting the ball extremely well. I think he's about to break the 3-point record for rookies. And Brandon Miller, who's been a guy that you've been waiting to finally break out, and he's doing that. He's proven that he can be one of these top guys in the league. He's got a great build. He's a taller wing. He could score at will. He can do all of it. And then you have a guard who's already proven himself in LaMelo Ball. I think you guys made a great pickup in Kobe White, another guard who can really help you, who has been really good, these last few years. And, you got the young talent in Ryan Kalkbrenner, Sion James, Miles Bridges. But with that, just same thing I said, as long with the Pistons, Miles Bridges goes down for 4 games. Moussa Diabate goes down for 4 games as well. It's just stuff like that can really hurt your team while you're doing this, 9-1 in your last 10. But now you got guys on suspensions, and it's just it really hurts the depth of this team. Number 10, the Atlanta Hawks, a team that was very, very active at the trade deadline. You traded your franchise guy in Trae Young. You trade Kristaps Porzingis, who was really just a filler, never really played much for you, always hurt throughout the year. You trade Luke Kennard, and in return, you get a young wing that all NBA fans are really waiting to see break out. We know he can do it, but Jonathan Kuminga is a great addition to this team. You also bring in guys like Gabe Vincent, CJ McCollum, Buddy Hield, Jock Landale, guys who will probably not be on the team by next year, all contract dumper guys. But then the young talent is amazing on this roster. Jalen Johnson, who's an all-star. Zachary Risachet, who's, shown flashes this year, why he proved to be the number 1 pick. Dyson Daniels, a great young defensive-minded wing that's proven that he can be one of those top defensive guys that can help a roster that's built around other guys. He's only 23 years old as well. You've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who you brought in this year on some good money. Still like the signing, waiting to see it pay off. You got Asa Newell and Onyeka Okongwu, 2 young bigs who are still, good role players. But I think we won't be able to see this team's full potential until the offseason hits. Moving on, we've got the Chicago Bulls. Another team, very, very, very active at the trade deadline. They traded Kobe White, they traded Vucevic, they traded Ayo Dosunmu, they traded Julian Phillips, and in return brought in all these point guards, all these shooting guards. You bring in Jaden Ivey, you bring in Anthony Simons, you bring in Colin Sexton, Rob Dillingham, and then some bigs in Nick Richards and Yabu Sele. My question is for this Chicago Bulls team is, where's the focus now? Because you're still on the Pat Williams contract, which I would really, really like you guys to get off. If I'm Chicago, my focus right now is on 2 guys. It's on Matas Buzelis, and then it's on Josh Giddey. You just paid Josh Giddey during the offseason, got the best contract for him possible. Now you really have to focus on developing Matas Buzelis, who has the perfect build to be that franchise guy. He can score, he can defend, he's athletic, he's, just like Giannis did, maybe if he puts on some of the muscle, he can be one of those one of those top guys in the league. I really like what Montas Buzelis can do. I just hope that Chicago would get the most out of him. And now the last team that we'll really get onto before the last three is the Milwaukee Bucks. The Giannis saga has really just been the factor of their season. Didn't end up moving him, was in every rumor possible, every team trade package, everything. Giannis stays put in Milwaukee. The thing I could say about this team is just poor coaching. Doc Rivers has been proven to just not be a good coach for this team. You had Darvin Ham to that staff, and it just hasn't worked out. You've gotten good play from guys like AJ Green and Ryan Rollins, and another guy with like KPJ, but you just haven't been able to piece it together. Kyle Kuzma has been so on and off for you. Bobby Portis, proven to be a good shooter. What else? Haven't really heard anything from Miles Turner. I really, really like the addition of Cam Thomas. He comes out, one of his struggles in his first game, second game goes and drops 35. My thing with this team is you just have to wait till Giannis gets healthy, really. There's nothing really much else you can do until he's healthy. Maybe when he's healthy, you shoot up to one of those play-in spots, and then, Giannis is Giannis, and then you get into the playoffs, make some noise. And now the last three teams, just like I did with the West, we're going to go around these quickly. The Nets, it's a tank. Brooklyn really has no direction. Besides the young talent on this team that they drafted last year, Igor Demnin is a point guard that I really liked this year. He's been one of your bright spots in Brooklyn. Danny Wolf, Ben Siroff, Nolan Traore, and Drake Powell. Those have been your core kind of young guys so far. I think we will definitely see in the offseason MPJ and Nick Claxton, both two guys who have been around the league, not be on this team anymore, as they just don't fit what they're going for. They don't fit this Brooklyn scheme, as they're trying to find that guy that they can really just build around. Indiana, you trade for Zubac. That's really a move that you do going into next year. The season's done. You make this move for Tyrese Halliburton, and he's pretty much the Miles Turner replacement, that big man replacement. I really like it, as Zubac has proven that he can play really well with passive guards that can find their guys open. Zubac has proven with James Harden that he can do that. You do risk losing that first round pick, which I don't know if is the best thing for you. I really would like to see you guys draft and maybe add another young talent next to Halliburton, especially with you guys trading Benedict Mathurin. But you still got that good core. Really, all the guys from that championship run is still there, besides Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin now. But with a healthy Hallie, I feel like this team can come back to where they were. Halliburton really was the Pacers and, should get more credit than he did before. And now lastly, the Washington Wizards, a team that made a lot of noise, traded for Trae Young and Anthony Davis. These are moves that you make going into next year, as they've already shut down Anthony Davis for the year, and I'm pretty sure they've shut down Trae Young as well. You didn't really give up much to get these guys. You gave up 3 first-round picks for Anthony Davis, but really picks that don't have too much value. And you give up C.J. McCollum and Corey Kispert to the Hawks. Corey Kispert, doesn't really fit your timeline anymore. C.J. McCollum was just a salary filler at that point for you guys, just holding $22 million. Those are good pickups, because now you have a good young core in Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George, Trey Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Will Riley. You have all these guys that can turn into what OKC has done and make them really, really, really good role players. And not to mention, with the way you're sitting right now at 14 and 39, top 5 pick coming. And with this draft class, who knows what that could be. That could be Dybansta, Ken Boozer, Darren Peterson. Those 3 guys I think are going to prove to be franchise changers. And I think you pair one of those 3 guys with Trae Young and AD along with Alex Sarr in this young core, Washington could be a team to look out for in the future.
That's going to wrap it up for my Eastern Conference breakdown throughout the first half of the season. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, remember, leave a like. And if you have any opinions on anything I said, or you'd like to add anything, remember, just leave them down below. I like reading other NBA fans' comments. I'm very excited to get this channel going, as I said previously, and I hope you guys enjoy for the ride.